I still remember that chilling summer evening when I stumbled upon a dusty, old journal buried deep in the attic of my childhood home. As I blew off the cobwebs, the words, Michael Ross, were scrawled across the cover in faded ink. Little did I know that this journal would transport me into the horrors of the past, unraveling a true crime tale that would haunt me forever. The journal belonged to a woman named Sarah, who had been one of the few survivors of the infamous Roadside Strangler spree in Connecticut during the early 1980s. With trembling hands, I began reading her haunting account. July 13, 1981. I can't shake the feeling that someone's watching me, lurking in the shadows. There's a sense of unease in the air. A killer is on the loose, and the entire town is gripped with fear. They call him the Roadside Strangler for his ruthless attacks on young women like me. Tonight, I was fortunate enough to escape his clutches, but the terror still lingers within my soul. July 19, 1981. Another victim was found today, her lifeless body discarded along a desolate roadside. As the body count rises, so does my fear. The police seem no closer to catching this monster. His motives remain unclear, but one thing is certain: he takes pleasure in the pain and suffering of his victims. September 3, 1981. The community has turned into a fortress of paranoia. No one can be trusted. I've started to change my daily routine, avoiding dark alleys and empty streets. My heart pounds every time I hear footsteps behind me, fearing it could be him. We've heard rumors that the killer toys with his victims before ending their lives. The psychological torment must be unbearable. October 22, 1981. A breakthrough. The police have arrested a suspect, Michael Ross. He seemed like an ordinary man, unassuming and polite, but beneath that facade lurked a monster. They found evidence linking him to some of the murders, but there are doubts about whether he acted alone or had accomplices. November 10, 1981. It's been a nightmare since the day I was taken. Ross held me captive in a hidden, rundown shack deep in the woods. The walls were stained and damp, and the stench of decay hung heavily in the air. There was hardly any light, just a dim bulb hanging from the ceiling that flickered menacingly. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe, and comment down below any true crime content suggestion you have in mind. December 5, 1981. Ross was cruel, taunting me with the knowledge that he had murdered so many others. He took pleasure in my fear, relishing in my tears and pleas for mercy. I was deprived of food for days, and when he finally brought me something to eat, it was nothing more than scraps, barely enough to keep me alive. January 15, 1982. Every day was an excruciating battle to survive both physically and mentally. The isolation was maddening, and the sounds of the woods at night would haunt my dreams. Ross seemed to take delight in my suffering, constantly reminding me that my fate rested solely in his hands. April 4, 1982. As the days turned into months, I lost all track of time. I felt like a shell of my former self, my spirit crushed under the weight of his sadistic games. The scars on my body and soul grew deeper with each passing day. I clung to the memories of my family and friends, praying that I would one day see them again. June 25, 1982. The police finally found the shack. They came in with guns drawn, and Ross was arrested without resistance. My emotions were a whirlwind: relief, fear, and disbelief. I was finally free, but the scars of my captivity would forever remain etched in my mind. March 8, 1983. The trial has begun, and the courtroom is filled with grief-stricken families and terrified witnesses. I'm among those called to testify against Ross, and just the thought of facing him sends shivers down my spine. His eyes, void of any remorse, seem to pierce through my very soul. The journal entries depict the survivor's harrowing experience as a hostage, emphasizing the psychological and emotional toll it took on her. It's important to approach such stories with sensitivity, highlighting the resilience of survivors and focusing on their healing journey.